This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you for joining us for CBN NewsWatch on this Wednesday, May 28th. We've got lots to get to in this half hour. Let's begin in the Middle East. Israeli fighter jets destroyed the final Houthi rebels' final aircraft in a strike on the Sanaa International Airport in Yemen today. The attack came after multiple missile attacks by the Houthis on Israel in recent days. Israel previously launched strikes earlier this month, but the Houthis kept up their missile launch against Israel. Today's attack comes amid a New York Times report. U.S. officials are concerned Israel could attack the Iranian nuclear program with very little warning and before the U.S. could pressure Israel not to go ahead. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office denies that report. Meanwhile, in Gaza, chaos erupted on the second day of aid operations by a new U.S.-supported group in Gaza as desperate Palestinians overwhelmed a center distributing food Tuesday, breaking through fences. Israel said nearby troops fired warning shots. And here in Washington, top Israeli officials met with U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff to discuss a possible hostage and ceasefire deal, along with the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. Witkoff says Israel has agreed to the ceasefire deal, but Hamas has not. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more. So, Chris, what more can you tell us about the latest strike on the Houthis?
Well, Ephraim, they hit the main airport at Sanaa in Yemen. They destroyed, actually, the Houthis' last remaining plane. Previous planes were destroyed in a major strike. You may remember back in May 6th. And that followed the Houthis' ballistic missile attack that actually hit the Ben Gurion airport. Israeli Defense Minister Yaakov Katz says whoever fires at Israel will pay a heavy price and will pay sevenfold. The Houthis have been firing ballistic missiles here at Israel for several weeks now, ever since the ceasefire was over, sending many, Israelis, maybe more than 1 million, into bomb shelters on a regular basis in the past few weeks.
What are your thoughts on the New York Times report that says Israel could attack Iran's nuclear program with little warning?
Well, you know, I'm on a WhatsApp group like many journalists and from the Prime Minister's office, and it was not too long after the release of that New York Times article that they just came up with a very brief statement, fake news. They're worried, the whole idea that Israel is worried that the U.S. is worried that they will attack Iran's nuclear facilities, even if a deal is struck, and that, as you said in the report leading up to this, it could happen in at least as little as 7 hours. Right now, the negotiations appear stuck over the issue of uranium enrichment, but certainly Tehran is saying they have a right to it. The U.S. is saying they need to stop enriching uranium and maybe dismantle their infrastructure. But there is a report that there may be an interim agreement without a final agreement, and that may be designed to stop an Israeli strike against the Iranian nuclear facility. So it's a very delicate time right now, diplomatically and certain militarily. And you could say that the Middle East is really watching and waiting to see what's going to happen and which way we're going. A really tipping point right now in the region, Ephraim.
Despite the chaos yesterday with this new Gaza aid plan, does Israel expect it to be successful in getting aid to Palestinians without Hamas being able to steal it?
Yeah, they said some of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that is helping lead this said that was a contingency they had prepared for, and that happened certainly at a very chaotic first day of distribution when thousands broke through the fences. But I believe they think it's going to work out eventually. There are 3 sites there in Gaza, 2 in southern Gaza, 1 in central Gaza. But what this does is keep food, if successful, away from Hamas. It gets the people away from Hamas. It really eliminates much of Hamas's influence over the population, if successful, and eliminate a major source of revenue for Hamas. And it as well gets people out of harm's way. That's part of the design of this plan to make sure they stay out of the crossfire.
There is an event today at the Knesset honoring countries that have moved embassies to Jerusalem. What more can you tell us about the event?
Well, it was a tribute ceremony to the countries that have moved their embassies to Jerusalem. It comes just a couple of days after Israelis celebrated Jerusalem Day when they captured Jerusalem back in the 1967 Six-Day War. We're in Jewish hands for the first time in more than 2,000 years. Ambassador Mike Huckabee from the U.S. Spoke there, talked about Jerusalem being the undivided capital of Jerusalem, and some of the other countries that have moved their embassies, including the U.S., would be Guatemala, Honduras, Kosovo, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Paraguay. Several others are considering the move, and it also happens during the Jerusalem prayer breakfast with hundreds of people here from 40 nations all praying for the peace of Jerusalem.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. Of course, we look forward to hearing from you in the days ahead. In other news at this hour, a bill requiring Texas schools to post the Ten Commandments in classrooms is one step closer to becoming law. The State House passed the bill with one amendment requiring the state to defend against any legal challenges. Now it has to return to the Senate for final approval. Governor Greg Abbott is expected to sign the bill. A similar law in Louisiana has been challenged in federal court. The Kilauea volcano on the Big Island of Oahu is spouting a lava fountain hundreds of feet into the air. The tower of flame erupting in parts. The south vent of the volcano had lava fountains 230 feet high, while the north side reached 1,000 feet. The volcano experiencing fountain phases several times this month. It's been sporadically erupting since last December. Coming up, there is hope after decades-long conflict between Turkey and the Kurdish population. We've got the details for you next. You're watching CBN NewsWatch.
Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today.
After more than 40 years of conflict, a glimmer of hope has emerged in Turkey. PKK militants, once focused on armed struggle for Kurdish independence, now want peace with the Turkish government. CBN's George Thomas reports from Turkey on what could be a move toward ending a decades-long conflict.
In Diyarbakir, a Turkish city known for its large Kurdish population, there's a growing sense of hope. After decades of violence, many here believe peace might finally be within reach.
Turkey has been tired of this war for 40 years. The people of this region are tired of war.
The Kurdish Workers' Party, or PKK, recently announced it will disband and disarm as part of a new peace initiative with Turkey. Mustafa Akyol is with the Cato Institute.
The PKK might not be a familiar organization for a lot of people in the West, but for Turkey, this is the terrorist organization that is fighting the Turkish government.
Founded more than 40 years ago, it originally fought for an independent Kurdish state. The PKK is classified as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the U.S., and the European Union. Dr. Sinan Sidi is with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies.
It is estimated that up until now, about 50,000 casualties on both sides have taken place. Many of them have not just been restricted to just military and state personnel, but also a lot of civilian casualties have taken place too.
Kurds make up about 20% of Turkey's 86 million people. When the Kurdish Workers' Party, or PKK, launched its insurgency against the Turkish government here back in 1984, their mission was to create this independent Kurdish state. But then in the 1990s, the focus began to shift and they started pushing for greater cultural, political, and religious rights for Kurds living within the country. So why seek peace now?
The PKK realizes that the world has changed dramatically. In other words, it's extremely difficult these days to wage a national struggle with weapons in this age.
Sidi suggests changing dynamics in the Middle East may have also helped shift PKK's strategy. The main factors being the fall of Assad's regime in Syria, the weakening of Iran, and Israel's ongoing campaigns against Hezbollah and Hamas.
The PKK is looking at this thing and thinking, well, I can't just continue business as usual. Things are changing. The ground is moving inside of the region.
Rashid Nasir, a Kurd living in Istanbul, tells CBN News that he's hopeful that PKK's decision to lay down arms will open the door to a more peaceful future.
We cannot bring back all those who died, so the best solution is a ceasefire so that more of our people don't end up dying. Both sides have suffered a lot.
Turkey's President Recep Erdogan recently welcomed the announcement.
Today crossed another critical threshold in the process of a terror-free Turkey. The terrorist organization announced that it decided to disband and surrender its weapons. We find that this decision is important in terms of strengthening the security of our country and the peace of our region.
There's cautious optimism here. While the details of the peace initiative have not been made public, many hope this will mark the beginning of lasting peace between the PKK and the Turkish government, as well as a better future for the Kurds in the region. George Thomas, CBN News, Istanbul.
Still ahead, we talk to the filmmakers working on this story about the life of recording artist Carman. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Carmelo Domenic Licciardello was known to millions as simply Carman. He grew up in the streets of New Jersey, but his music took him to stages around the world. His incredible life story is now one step closer to making it to the big screen. And for the first time, we're revealing the actor who will bring that story to life.
I always knew my little brother would become somebody. But I had no idea. No one did. That he would break world records. But it didn't come without opposition.
So let's go to the beginning. Where did this idea for Carmen the Movie begin?
I've been a big Carman fan my whole life. I was impressed, fatherless home growing up, and so he was kind of like a big brother, father figure almost in a way, spiritually anyway.
The only numbers he cared about night after night were how many people got saved.
I got to meet him on a tour bus that he was on. And then we just started talking after that. He told me about his life and his family and growing up in Jersey. And it was just a great story. And I was like, this has got to be a movie.
And how did you come to get connected to the project?
You know, I got a call one day from Jack and he said, hey, listen, I got the life rights for Carman. And would you like to help me write this screenplay? And I said, let's do it.
Guys from our streets? Oh, yeah. They were in the business of making people pray, all right. Just not the way you think.
So what are you envisioning for production? How much have you got mapped out?
All of it.
Wow.
Everything's done. We have even some of the casting done that we're really excited to share with you, and made some decisions on that, and we know who Carman is going to be. That's been the big question leading up to this. Who's Carman going to be?
My brother should have gone a whole different direction.
But once he found God, that was it.
Finally, we found somebody. We'll tell you.
Yes, I want to know.
You want to know who it is?
Yes.
All right, we'll tell you who it is. It's an incredible actor. His name is Joe Chambrello, and he has just embodied who Carman is. And not only that, he is a dead ringer. I'm talking to Joe, we're looking at Joe, and it's just like, there he is. It's Carman, you know? And so we got really close, and so it's, in a way, it's kind of like Carman's really there. Maybe he is.
No, I think so. And I felt Carman through the whole, I've never met Carman, but I felt him kind of watching over the whole thing as we were creating this proof of concept, as we were writing it too. You know, as Jack and I were writing it, to be able to, for me, I felt like I know Carman. I've never met him, but I feel like I know him right now.
And are we not even going to talk about or address these suggestive lyrics from these so-called Christian songs? Huh?
So-called.
Oh, yeah. No.
Why do you think Carman wants this story told? Why would he want?
His goal was to use his life story as a tool to bring more people to Jesus. And so it's kind of amazing, actually, that after he's gone, that his life is still going to continue to bring people to Christ.
Carmen, it doesn't make any sense. Free concerts? It goes against the proven business model for the entire music industry.
This is an opportunity for people to hear the gospel, right?
Oh, okay, but how do you expect us to make money?
From both of you, if you could describe this story and who Carman was, what would you say?
Everything in Carman's life centered around Jesus. He got saved when he was 21. The day he got saved, he just was committed to learning as much as he could about Jesus and the gospel. And so his entire life is really kind of almost an underdog story. If you when you find out in this movie as a kid how Carman, the conditions that he grew up in, he had a great family, but not necessarily a Christian family, and he had a lot of obstacles to overcome. And so once you see that and you see the gritty kind of streets of Jersey, what that was like in the 60s, and by all accounts, he shouldn't have become who he became. And it was because of that commitment when he was 21 and got saved that he put all of that aside and said he was very focused on it. And so it's about Jesus. It's about winning the lost, and you know, he'd be happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a guy who is a good-looking guy. He's very talented. Could have gone the worldly route. And this, to me, was what has impressed me the most about Carman, was the fact that he could have gone this route, you know, and you know, become a sex symbol or whatever, right? But he said, no, I'm going to do this because the world needs more Jesus, right? And so that was all what Carman's all about, was spreading the word.
He really believed that God could use anybody to accomplish his will, anybody that God decided he wanted to use.
We could debate biblical beauty standards all day long here. But do you know what's really hot? Hell. I'd rather pack out arenas for free than let a single soul end up there.
The filmmakers are looking to begin production on Carman the Movie this summer. Be sure and join us this evening for an all-new edition of Studio 5. We're sitting down for a conversation with rapper No Big Deal. He is known for merging music genres to create his own unique sound with lyrics that tackle real-life issues. We're going to talk about his musical journey. You can catch Studio 5 this evening on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 8 Eastern. You can also watch it on the CBN News app, and you can find it on YouTube. Coming up, we check in with the man who inspired millions with his vision of heaven more than 20 years ago. Stay with us. You are watching CBN NewsWatch.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. At only 3 years old, Colton Burpo inspired millions with his vision of going to heaven after nearly dying of a ruptured appendix. That was more than 20 years ago. CBN's Billy Hallowell sits down with him to offer a powerful update on his life now.
Colton Burpo's near-death experience inspired the popular book and movie Heaven is for Real. Years later, the 25-year-old continues sharing his incredible story.
A mother, a father, I see it, so I believe it.
What happened is when I was 3 years old, almost 4, I had a ruptured appendix. I had appendicitis. Doctors misdiagnosed it. They didn't catch it for about 5 days. And then when the doctors finally figured out what was going on, I went into emergency surgery.
During the ordeal, Burpo believes he experienced a supernatural near-death encounter that allowed him to meet Jesus and experience heaven.
I remember lifting out of my body, I looked down, I saw the doctors, they were working on me. My mom, I saw her in one room. She was like on the phone talking with people, praying. My dad, he was in another room and he was praying very loudly at God. And at the moment, I was freaking out. I had no idea what was going on. Then I was sitting on Jesus's lap and he had some angels sing to me to calm me down.
Burpo's description of meeting Christ as well as deceased family members inspired many to think more deeply about heaven and the gospel. Today, he is a married, first-time dad with a powerful calling.
He has called me to be a godly man, a godly husband, now a godly dad. And when it comes to the supernatural or what is waiting for us, I'm not afraid to meet Jesus again one day. Like, I'm looking forward to that day.
As he awaits going back to heaven, Burpo, who works as a worship pastor and electrician, believes God has him on a more essential mission.
My mindset right now is, instead of being so caught up on what's waiting for me, I'm going to focus on the here and now. I'm going to live my life in a way that honors Christ. And if I can, while I'm down here, I'm going to try and get as many people to come with me to heaven. So I've been able to view it more as a mission instead of I wish I was in heaven again.
Burpo still travels America sharing his story through his family's organization, Heaven is for Real Ministries. And while near-death experiences remain a debated phenomenon, for many, these stories are inspirational reminders of the hope we have in heaven. Billy Hollowell, CBN News.
Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is word. Remember this, the word of God is many things. It is alive, it is a lamp, it is a light, and it is power. Don't ignore it. Read it, meditate on it, learn it, love it, and live it. With that word, I encourage you to make this a wonderful Wednesday and have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel. You can find them there at any time as well as online. That address is cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.